Why is religion bad? That's a big question. But we have to start somewhere. So let's start here. If you call yourself a Christian, I've got news for you. You are either not very smart, very gullible, or there's a third option we'll save for later. Let's deal with the first two. Because if you believe in Christianity, you believe in the Bible. And that means you believe in a book filled with ancient stories, myths, contradictions, and, let's be honest, total nonsense. Let's take a tour. The creation story didn't happen. The earth wasn't made in 6 days. It wasn't made at all. It formed slowly across billions of years. Genesis is a fairy tale, not science. The flood didn't happen. There is no evidence of a global flood that wiped out all life. And no, 8 people on a boat didn't carry every animal on earth. That's not faith. That's fantasy. The Tower of Babel. Come on. People didn't get scattered and cursed with new languages for building a tall building. That's a myth, recycled from Babylonian legend. The Exodus? Nope. There's no historical record of millions of Israelites wandering the desert. No Egyptian record of plagues. No archaeological trace of a 40-year campout. It's a story. That's all. And Jesus as the Messiah? Well, not according to the actual Jewish scriptures. You know, the ones Christianity claims to fulfill? The resurrection? Cool story. But no. Dead people don't come back to life. Not after 3 days. Not after 1. Not ever. And the sun standing still in the sky? Holy. Wow. That's just wrong on so many levels. The earth spins. The sun isn't moving around us. If the earth stopped spinning, we'd all die instantly. But sure, miracle, right? These are the things you must believe. If you're a Christian, not some of them, all of them. Because that's what your book says. That's what your religion is built on. Now, I can already hear the excuses. They're metaphors? Okay. Metaphors are they? How do you decide what's metaphor and what's literal? Jesus rising from the dead, literal. But Adam and Eve, metaphor. The flood, symbolic, but heaven, that's real. So what's the test? What tool do you use to separate fact from fiction? You don't have a test, do you? Because if you did, there wouldn't be 40,000 Christian denominations all interpreting the same book differently. You see the problem? The Bible doesn't tell you what to believe, your pastor does. The guy standing at the front of the church tells you what it means, and you believe it. You don't do your own research. You don't test your beliefs. You follow like a good sheep, and that's what makes this dangerous. Because if you'll believe this stuff, if you'll swallow talking snakes and global floods and people living inside fish, then you're exactly the kind of person that a smooth-talking demagogue can control. You're vulnerable, not just to bad ideas, but to people who want to use you. Because if you'll believe in miracles without evidence, then you'll believe anything that sounds good, even if it's harmful, even if it's a lie. So maybe you're not stupid. Maybe you're not even gullible. Maybe you're just trusting, but that trust is being abused. And that brings us to the third type of Christian, the dishonest one, the kind who knows better, but keeps preaching anyway. And that is where things get really dangerous. Let's talk about the televangelists, the apologists, the megachurch millionaires with Rolexes, private jets, and custom suits. These people aren't confused. They aren't misled. They're in on the con. They know the arguments they use are fallacies. They've been told. They've read the rebuttals. They've seen the contradictions, and they don't care. Because it's not about truth. It's about power. It's about money. It's about control. Let me put it this way. If you're making a living selling lies to people, and those lies make you rich, are you really going to give that up just because it's morally wrong? No, you're going to double down. You're going to say, God told me you need to give more. You're going to say, the devil is attacking us. Send a donation. You're going to say, plant a seed of faith while you buy another sports car. And the worst part? It works. Because gullible people, trusting people, don't know they're being played. Let's take the apologists. They'll twist logic into pretzels to make God sound reasonable. They'll invent made-up rules like God exists outside of space and time, or morality is objective because God says so. They'll shift the burden of proof dodge the hard questions, and pretend their opponents just don't understand. But they know better. They've studied philosophy. They've read the critiques. They know the flaws. And yet they keep going. Because it's not about finding God. It's about defending the brand. It's about keeping the church full, keeping the donations coming, keeping the faithful distracted. Now, let's talk about the megachurch leaders. The ones with thousands of followers, live bands, fog machines, and massive stadiums. You think those guys believe in humility? They believe in marketing. They've turned religion into a business. Jesus is their mascot. God is their product. And you're the customer. They sell you salvation the way Starbucks sells lattes. Comfortable, familiar, addictive. And once you're hooked, they never let go. Need help paying bills? Pray harder. Depressed? God is testing you. Sick? Maybe you didn't tithe enough. You see the pattern? They offer you hope. And when it doesn't work, they blame you. They've created a system where they can never be wrong, where any failure is your fault, and any success is proof that God is real. It's the perfect scam, and they know it. These people aren't trying to save souls. They're trying to grow a brand. They're manipulating people who just want to believe in something good. And that is what makes this so dangerous. Because once people are under the spell, they'll defend these frauds no matter what. They'll ignore the scandals. They'll justify the greed. They'll protect the con. Because admitting the truth would mean admitting they were fooled. But they were fooled. And they're still being fooled. Not by God, not by Scripture, but by people who saw an opportunity and took it. People who figured out that religion isn't about truth. It's about persuasion. And if you can convince someone that invisible magic runs the world, you can convince them of anything. And when people believe anything, they become easy to control. And that control, that's where religion really starts to hurt society. So now we've met the three types of Christians: the naive, the gullible, and the dishonest. And maybe you're thinking, okay, but what's the big deal? If people want to believe fairy tales, let them, right? Wrong. Because belief doesn't stay private. It leaks into policy. It infects education. It shapes entire cultures. And when that belief is built on blind obedience, on trusting people who lie for a living, that's a recipe for disaster. Religion trains people not to think. It rewards faith over facts, obedience over curiosity, conformity over truth. And that mindset doesn't stop at the church doors. It follows you into the voting booth, into the classroom, into how you raise your kids, and how you treat people who are different from you. It tells you the earth is 6,000 years old, so why bother with science? It tells you God made men and women a certain way, so why respect gender identity? It tells you suffering is part of God's plan, so why help the poor? And when the world changes, religion doesn't adapt. It resists, because progress threatens power, and power is what they're protecting. Religion stalls progress. It blocks equality. It shields abusers. It silences questions, all in the name of a God who never shows up. Think about it. How many wars have been started over religious beliefs? How many people have been killed because God said so? How many minds have been shut down by the words, "Just have faith"? Religion takes the natural human desire for meaning and twists it into control. It tells you the answers are already written, that doubt is a sin, that asking too many questions will send you to hell. And the result? A world full of people who could think for themselves, but don't because they were never taught how. If we let go of religion and started thinking critically, skeptically, honestly, the world wouldn't fall apart. It would move forward. Faster, fairer, freer. We don't need ancient rules. We need better reasoning, not holy books, but honest conversations. Because belief without evidence isn't noble. It's dangerous. And the longer we keep pretending otherwise, the longer it'll take to fix the damage. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.